Are you ready to learn from someone who is called the entrepreneur philosopher and be able to scale yourselves through being yourself? This is the Scale You podcast, where every single week we are bringing on a ton of amazing and beautiful experts, from people who are entrepreneurs, which was our season 1, people who are digital nomads, which was our season 2, and season 3 focused by people who have a lot of businesses or multiple businesses at once. And right now, season 4, we're focused on a lot of amazing people who have written books, who've scaled themselves essentially in their ideas into putting it in actual print. I am your host, Lacaba. I run an executive assistant business in the Philippines. And if you're ready to ditch the grind, let's go over and scale you. Now, again, our guest today is known as the entrepreneur philosopher. He is twice a best-selling author of his 2 books, The You Are Not Them and The Caterpillar's Edge, both really fantastic books that you guys can check out on Amazon. He's also a university professor at both the engineering and business school, a 2-time TED Talk speaker, an advisor to Fortune 500 leaders, an innovation thought leader who has built multiple companies and invested in many more. He is the founder of the Anabasis Academy, a global movement fusing mindfulness and entrepreneurship. He is a frequent contributor to Forbes, Time, Newsweek, USA Today, Fox, Independent, Foreign Policy Globe, London School of Economics, and Harvard Business Review. Okay, everyone, so please help me welcome our guest today, Sid. Hey, Sid.
Hey, how are you, Leanne?
I'm good. How are you today?
I am excellent, but I'll get better.
That's always the hope in the case, is that we'll excel and better. So, Sid, I could have already gave everyone a little bit of introduction on you with your bio, but I would of course love to know more about you from you. Tell us more of how you became who you are today with all of your achievements in life, as well as kind of the just that behind the scenes of like what got you here.
Yeah, I always, I do lots of interviews at different places, and people ask me who you are, and they go into, hey, you accomplished this, and you started this business, and you said, I'll generally say 2 things, that's an outcome of how I am, that's not who I am. And the second is that I hope that we don't spend too much time on me because I'm irrelevant. Because we're all different, we're all unique. There's 110 billion people have been born on our planet, and no 2 people are the same. So it doesn't matter what I've done. What matters is can I impart something that would provoke your audience to discover their best version. So who am I? I'm an immigrant. That makes me an entrepreneur, because I have a definition for entrepreneurship which is slightly different than what most people may think. Entrepreneurship is not about money. By definition, an entrepreneur is someone who has something. This is the actual definition from the 1700s. Someone who has something, who wants to exchange it with something of higher value, knowing that there is risk. Someone who has something, who wants to exchange it with something of higher value, knowing that there is risk. That means you may not be able to.
Yeah.
There is no explanation of what you have, and there is no explanation of what you consider higher value. So what I have may be an idea, it may be a product, it may be a service, it may be my time. I have something. It may be my athletic capabilities. It may be that I am musically inclined. I can dance, or I can write, or I can sing, or I have something. And I like to exchange that something for something that I would consider of higher value. It may be fame, it may be fortune, it may be a nice family, it may be enough money to take my kids to Disneyland, it may be enough time to spend time traveling around the world. I have something, and I want to exchange that with something of higher value, and then life is filled with risk. Everything we do has risk in it, every decision we make, except we're often unaware that there is risk because the risk may be minimal. We drive every day and we're okay with driving.
Mm-hmm.
We drive at midnight on an icy road, and it's a bit scary. We're not alert. There is more risk to it. We drive at 100 miles or 200 miles or 300 miles. We're increasing the risk.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always this exchange. So the reason I started there was because I'm an immigrant, and I believe every immigrant is an entrepreneur. So I tried to exchange what I had with something that I thought was better, and I took a risk. So
Mm-hmm.
if that definition applies, that's what I've done at every juncture in my life. I've tried uh, to discover better, and sometimes I've taken a little more risk, and sometimes I've taken a little less risk. And I believe though that and this is, if you look at all of my work, I believe that it all begins in our mind. Um, Here's another piece of information that may connect us to that. I have hemophilia, which is a disease, a blood disorder,
Mm-hmm.
and very early. I mean, this is a genetic thing, so it comes in very early in my life. Um, I surprised a lot of doctors because I wouldn't take medicines like hardcore painkillers and so forth, because this is very painful.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I said, no, I have I can control this. And so I kind of relied on my mind and decision making and choices that I see in front of me and so forth from very early stage. And that taught me that, you know, a lot of things really depends on how we look at the world,
Mm-hmm.
how mindful we are, or where we are. And I don't see mindfulness as, going on top of a mountain and trying to kind of
Mm-hmm.
detach yourself from the universe. And mindfulness has to be activated, meaning you have to be aware, because not only this presence, this now makes a lot of sense and is important, but the next now, which we're going to connect in now, that
Mm-hmm.
one is as important. And I'm going to make decisions between now and then, and the world has changed. So it's not like I have to be aware and mindful at this minute, and the next minute I can't, or I shouldn't. If I want to be impactful, I have to be continuously mindful. So I
Mm-hmm.
believe that we're all entrepreneurs. That is in our genes. It's in our genes because we all want to be better. We all want to, and this was actually proven about 500,000 years ago. We developed this gene that is to
Mm-hmm.
thrive, not to survive. So if you combine that perspective of life, which obviously I didn't know when I was 16 and I immigrated by
Mm-hmm.
myself, but later on in life I realized, you know, that's what it is. That's the entrepreneurial gene that we all have, and we want to exchange it with something better. And that begins in our mind and the way we look at the world, the way we assess and are aware of our capabilities,
Mm-hmm.
of the realities in the world, how we look at risk, how we look at commitment, how we look at courage, how we look at our emotions, how we see the blending of emotions, how we all have fears, how we all have nervousness, how we all have all that sort of stuff. It's a soup in our mind all the time. And it's how do you deal with that? So if you look at all of my things that I have done, you can see those things in it. So I guess, and that's why some people call me the entrepreneur philosopher, because I look at the world from a philosophical perspective. But I encourage you to do, and all your audience to do the same, because you know we have a lot of opportunities, and this is no motivational BS I'm giving you. This is, if you really think about it, every morning you have a cup of coffee because you feel better. Why do you have a cup of coffee? Because you want to exchange what you have, a sleepy nature. You want to wake up, so you have a cup of coffee. You're hungry, so you fulfill that hunger because it makes you feel better. You exchange what you have with something better. Okay, that makes you an entrepreneur. By definition, I'm not making it up.
Mm-hmm. That's a one that's a breath of fresh air, a little bit of like, just because in the last um not really a couple of interviews, but like it's conversations with people. When I ask, what do you do, or what it is that you are creating in the world, they always jump like, oh, I do this and this and this for people. For like the way that you've just said it, and I love your definition of entrepreneurship. It's really true. Like it's us creating. We have a value within ourselves, and we're exchanging it for something better, for something else. And that's a beautiful way of seeing that. And yes, now I do say I did see the entrepreneur philosopher. I see it exactly what you mean. What other people have met as well, because that's just a very beautiful way of seeing that. Like we forget in the day-to-day in what we're doing of like, oh, I'm doing this because I've created value and I want it to be better. Like before the start of the call was telling you like, oh yeah, right now I'm doing that digital nomad thing where I'm going one place to the other. I've exchanged value somewhere.
Why do you do that? Why are you traveling? Why are you going there? Because you feel that if you discover something new, it may add to you. Mm-hmm. You're learning, you're experiencing, and that is your journey. And your journey is very different than my journey. We're all different. Mm-hmm. We're all different. So now I know that the show is about the books and authors and all that. So that actually drives why the title of my second book is "You Are Not Them."
Mm-hmm. I love it, by the way. When I saw that, I'm like, that would be a book that I would pick up on a bookstore. So tell me more about that. Like, why was it that? Is it just doubling down a little bit on, everyone has a different journey, or is it more of just encouraging people to kind of find more of themselves? What was kind of your own path to getting to either writing the book or just naming that out, right?
So my first book was called The Caterpillar's Edge. And the caterpillar's edge is I'm told, so I'm not pounding my chest or anything like that, is a lot of more CEOs that run big companies, do different things and so forth. I'm told a lot of them have kept it on their desk and they've read it multiple times, because it's about how do you evolve again like a caterpillar. Evolves until it becomes a butterfly. It doesn't happen overnight, but the second book was that okay, it's really the philosophy that each one of us have that causes that evolution. Yes, we want to evolve, but what drives us to evolve and how do we evolve is something very internal. So that second book is the You Are Not Them, which was both a bestseller in business and in philosophy, which is kind of so it does have poems in it. It does have my poems in it. It does have, lots of stuff that connects those kind of things. So here's what I believe, Leanne. We have a society, and intentionally that has been developed over the years, that needs a how-to accomplish things. In business they say, oh, what are the best cases? Go follow the best practices. Go follow this. And then if you look at the Instagram and the TikToks of the world and all of that, is do these 3 things and you're going to be this. Do these 4 things and you're going to be that. I just don't think that works. It's just a foolish thing. I mean, life is not like IKEA that you go buy a bunch of bookcases and it has these pieces and what is practical for you is not practical for me. Mm-hmm. I grew up somewhere different than you did. My parents were different. My friends were different. My challenges were different. I was wealthy, you were not. I was tall, you were short. I was fat, you were skinny. I was ugly, you were pretty. Even the toys we played with were different. We're just completely different. So why do you think that what you think is practical for me? It's foolish. It doesn't make any sense. But we have been trained into all of these how-to books, all of these how-to things. Come here, pay this, do these 3 things, you're going to do this. Now, I'm not against books. I'm not against learning. I'm not against but again, I use an analogy of a chef, right? I can give the best oven to someone, to you. I can give you the best meat. I can give you the best seasoning.
Mm-hmm.
I can even give you somebody's recipe, your mother's recipe. You know what? You're not a chef.
True.
You're not a chef. A chef is someone who loves doing what they do, who mixes things up with that creativity, that you know, and I think most people would know your mom, your grandmom, whoever you feel close to in terms of their cooking is their cooking. You know, you can close your eyes and imagine that when you're 40, when you're 20, when you're 30, when you're in a dormitory, right? Because they put that love in it, because that is the essence of believing, understanding your authentic self, figuring out what is practical for you, figuring out what works for you, this seasoning, that seasoning, and people would recognize it immediately. They would see this authentic chef, this dish is beautiful, it smells good, it tastes good, it feels good, it's good. It's good. So my belief is reflected in the book, which is let's go on a journey and try to see if you can build your own entrepreneurial philosophy. Again, with that definition of entrepreneur, that you're discovering your own thing. So there are a few things. First, I talk about risk, because that's everybody talks about. Oh, it's everywhere. Well, without risk, without taking risk, you're not living. Period. You just don't know it that you're taking a risk. It's small, but there's a risk. You know, I can go walk on the street and fall down and become permanently, disabled.
Yeah.
There's a risk. I could go to the grocery store, buy some lettuce or some meat, and it could be contaminated. There's a risk. 50%, over 50% of people get married and they get divorced. But they don't get married. They're not thinking, hey, I'm going to go screw up my life and get married. No, they evaluate things. But there's a risk. The fact is a 50-50 chance. Right?
Sure.
But we take that risk because we assess things. And so the idea is, how do I become aware more? How do I understand more? How do I consume more? And that's being mindful, so that I improve my decisions, so that I see more choices that are coming my way, so that I can leverage the change that's coming my way. So the first thing I talk about is risk. Entrepreneurs are not risk takers. This is a foolish thing that people have. They're risk navigators. That means I sold the company to KPMG, which is a $26 billion humongous global company. And as a part of, as we were going through the due diligence and so forth, they have a head of risk, and he has maybe, I don't know, 300, 400, 500 people that are managing risk on every account, on every deal, on every. It's a big, massive thing. And this guy was heading all this risk compliance and all that. And he sat with me and he said, Sid, you're an entrepreneur. We are a pretty risk-averse organization. How do you see us working together? I said, well, when was the last time that you wrote a check for $2 million from your own pocket because you believed in something that would work? He said, well, I don't do that. I said, you do that for the company, right? He says, yeah. I said, but that's not your money. You didn't put your wife, your children, your life at risk, did you? The worst thing, somebody would slap your back and say, why would you make that decision? Or you go across the street to another consulting firm and get another job, but your life isn't destroyed. Now, I'm not a risk taker. You're taking more risk than I am. I'm a risk navigator. I have to figure out what the parameters are, and I'm constantly optimizing this risk, constantly. Every time I hire somebody, every time I meet a client, every time I write that check, every 2 weeks when I pay a payroll, every time that I make a decision to do advertising or not, every time I decision to improve a product or not, I am aware. So what I say is, if you look at it as we're navigating risk, then we have to think like a pilot. You know, there are different kind of pilots. There every day, thousands of airplanes take off for different destinations. You and I get on those planes, and actually, they have less accidents than cars do. They're pretty damn safe because they have a risk list. Electrical, check. Tires, check. Air pressure, check. Right? They go through that every time they fly. Every pilot does that, right? Now, but there's a difference. When you become, when you're starting a new business, now you're like a jet pilot, fighter pilot, because you have limited fuel. You're going into enemy territory. People are shooting in you. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't do the risk assessment or the risk check marks that air pressure is good, tire pressure is, but you have additional risks because you may go into enemy territory and run out of fuel. That's kind of running out of money, right? You have competition that's shooting in you, right? So your level of risk is higher, but you're still navigating. You're still a pilot. And then we have weekend pilots that, they kind of hustle on the side. They're not really doing this every day like a corporate pilot. They're not doing it like a full time as a pilot. They're kind of every weekend they do. So they still do that normal check, but they're not really at too much risk. So I use a lot of analogies to communicate different things. You could see that. Another thing is that I'll say you have to find your oceanness. What does that mean? We don't live alone. If I have a business, I can't create the product, conceive of the product, create the product, and then buy the product myself, pay for it myself. No, I have to have people who actually help me create the product, who actually deliver it, who actually buy it, who actually use it, right? That's how it works. Life is not an independent, isolated event, right? So if you look at an ocean is a provider. The fish, all the planetaries that are underneath, it creates an ecosystem where there is interaction, there's life, and then they all evolve, and everybody goes up and down. An ocean can be very calm, or it could be very fearful. It has these things we call the waves, right? Those are things that we make waves every day. Those are the normal waves. There's a continuous thing we do in our lives and in our business. Continuous stuff. And then sometimes there's a little bit of a typhoon. That may be when the economy does something, or when we come up with a new idea and so forth. So this idea of oceanness is we have to be aware of how we're creating these waves that keeps us going, the day-to-day of stuff. And then we have to also be aware that we can create a typhoon. We can create a monsoon. We can create this just like an iPhone came. And Steve Jobs, that was a monsoon. It created a massive thing that changed the world. Just like OpenAI and ChatGPT these days. It's a monsoon. It's changing the world. So we could do that. But hey, I run a small restaurant, a donut shop, and every day I'm creating these waves, and that's how it works, right? So there is this idea of then I'll say be a dancer. Be a dancer. People do business and then they fail, or they get to a place and say a pivot, change. And imagine a dancer. A dancer is fully aware of the rhythm of the music. He or she is fully aware of the audience, of how the stage is, where it is, how big, how small. It practices to win, right? It doesn't just get to a place where boom, because he can destroy his entire life by breaking an ankle, you know. So being a dancer means we are aware of the movement of the markets, of our abilities, of our team, of our capabilities, of ourselves, of our emotions. We're not getting to a point where we pivot and turn left or right. We're always looking at where the music is going, and sometimes we improvise, and sometimes we're well choreographed, and they're both okay, So this is kind of the essence or the way that the book goes, with these things and lots of examples and lots of lots of different ideas that are along the same line. For example, I talk about fear, I talk about nervousness. So Leon, when are you nervous? When do you get nervous?
Typically when I'm about to do something new or something that might affect something afterwards. So talking on stage, or when I'm about to do maybe ziplining, something that I've not done before, something that affects me.
Exactly. So what you're doing is you're pushing the limits of your comfort zone. Right? Now, if there's plenty of evidence. Beyonce says, if I'm not nervous, I'm not going to push myself to do the next big thing. Every time I go on the stage, I want to do something great. You're nervous when you're pushing the envelope. And isn't that wonderful? You have to look for opportunities to be nervous. Let's be nervous, because that's where we're evolving, that's where we're pushing. But we have to learn the art of being nervous, which is different than being fearful. I am aware that I'm pushing this, and okay, if I'm pushing this, how do I get prepared for pushing it? And I know that I'm pushing it, and I know that there is a risk, but I'm going to navigate the risk in some form, right? So those are the type of things. And then this idea of activating your mindfulness is also at the core of the book. Activating mindfulness means it's not just enough for you to be aware. If that awareness doesn't turn to impact, you don't evolve. You evolve when you take your talents, when you take that genetic ability that you have to exchange what you have for something better. When you take that talent and that ability and that creativity, and you're mindful, you're aware of all the stuff that's going on around you, your uniqueness, your very authentic self, and you're aware that, hey, if I'm 5'3", guess what? I can't be a basketball player. So I don't have foolish dreams. If my voice sucks, I can't be a singer, but I could be a musician. And if I don't have a musician talent, maybe I can own a recording studio. Right? So there's this idea of being mindful and aware of not only our emotions, but our abilities and our realities. And then, again, like a caterpillar, slowly we evolve into our next best version. Not the final version, just the next best version. Because we are both the art and the artist.
That's beautiful. You gave me so many aha moments. I wish I was writing down everything. I wish I had my notebook and pen while you're explaining it. Thank goodness that this is recording, because I could just go back to it. You've touched on so many things that, for me, as someone who I'm about to turn 30 in 2 months, like I've been thinking of and being I've been thinking that I've been super like hyper aware basically of everything like I've done in the last like the second decade of my life and going to the next one. And you've given me a lot of things to think about. Like at the very beginning, you touched on like essentially like your individualism. Like I love the metaphor of that's your mom's recipe. You have to you'll create your own and something that people will remember. I love that you touched on the you're not the example of like the risk management. Like no, you're not really managing your risk because it's not your own thing. You could just get another job if you like screw up here. You could just find something. You're not actually putting yourself at risk. And yeah, you just gave me so many beautiful imagery, and I hope for anyone who's listening or watching this, you guys already got also the imagery that I've been getting in the last couple of minutes.
I am delighted to hear, Leanne, and again, this is now has kind of become my mission in life, because this is what I've built companies. I mean, people can Google me. They see. I have hundreds and hundreds of articles about different things and business and this and that. But this has become my mission in life, because I think if you as an artist create a better art, if you can evolve or find your better self, and if I can do that myself, and if your friends can, and if my friends can, if my neighbor can and your neighbor can, if your father, your child, your cousins can you imagine what a beautiful world we live in? Can you imagine how much we can create, how much we can innovate, how much we can be? If we all looking at life as this is our ocean, if we are all looking at life as, hey, let's create together, because I'm not alone, you're not alone, and we would be in an absolutely beautiful world if we see that if I'm working somewhere, if I'm cleaning hotel rooms or somebody's house, or I'm a housekeeper, or I'm a contract worker, laying pipe at a building construction site, if I can see that, hey, I am exchanging my time and my craft, because when I go home, I'm going to exchange it for something better. Let me see what is better. Let me create that better. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? Wouldn't that change a lot of stuff? Wouldn't that defocus entrepreneurship from money to value? Wouldn't that be beautiful? Mm-hmm. So that is, Leanne, now my mission, and that's why we've started the what we call the Anabasis Academy. It's a very non-academic academy. That is, there are no tests. There is no, hey, you do ABC. There is no 1, 2, 3. You won't get rich by following these 6 things. Absolutely not. If that's what you're looking for, this ain't it, because you're not trying to be a chef. You're trying to go to McDonald's and get your hunger fed. It's a survival mode, not an evolution mode, not a growth mode, right? But at the academy, we have different levels for people that are coming in. What we call intrigued is basically $1 forever. Okay, so and you could just type in a chat GPT, because I've done it, and say the value proposition of Anabasis Academy compared to others, and tells this is tens of thousands of dollars that they're giving away for nothing, because we believe it. And then the next level of membership, a lot of people are paying it forward. They're sponsoring other people to come in and join the movement, because it's a good thing to do. And they feel, they believe in me. I've been on their board, I've been their friends, and they say, this is a good thing. So the mission is to touch as many as people. And I believe that it's not motivational. I believe in provoking you, because nobody can motivate you to accomplish anything. I mean, for 10 minutes, maybe, but hey, because I had this disease, or I had this thing, or I walked over to Himalayas, or I ran and became an Olympic winner, that doesn't mean you can. It has nothing to do with you. It's just irrelevant. So you may admire me for 10 minutes and say, oh, look at this guy, how great it is. But so what? It's not me that matters. It's you that matters. So we have to discover this our own self, and I'm hoping that the Academy does that. And we have people from Philippines, we have people from Mexico, we have people from China, we have people from all across Europe, across US, and we have something we call a wake-up call that's every 2 weeks. And we now are measuring it. We used to have it at 8 o'clock in the morning in California time, and a lot of people in Philippines and others says, wait a minute, I don't want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to wake up that early. So we're now changing that. So we're going to have it at different time zones to make it more convenient. And then when they come into that, then there's lots of content. We have expert conversations, and it's all about. So I'll give you an example. I had a conversation with the actual innovator, the person that invented cell phone. He's a friend of mine, 96 years old, Marty Cooper. And we don't talk about what you've done. We don't talk about why you're great. We talk about how you think. We take a single topic. And try to drill down. Right? We take out an idea of, okay, resilience. What the hell is it? What is it? Is it resistance? Is it what? Why is it that what we say makes a difference? What is trust, and how do we build it? And why is it there? And where do we begin? Right? We pick topics that provokes you so that you can discover those pieces of puzzle your own way and shape your own best version, not mine. Find what is practical for you, not for me.
Oh, that's it's a beautiful way of seeing and saying that. And I love what you said of like, what if, every single one of us just gave a little bit, wanted to be either do better or show up better. And then how that will change a lot of different ways. And of course, like, I'm super curious, like, when you mentioned earlier, of course, before the call, the Academy, I'm like, what does that look like? And you've explained it beautifully of like what people can expect, what people can do. And it's funny because like the way that you're building it is very much, that individual, like it's not what you've done, but like how you were able to think it through, how you were able to get there, how you were able to be that person. It goes back to the how you're thinking about it. And in the, like you said earlier, also the day-to-day of everyone's making like how-to videos. I make a lot of how-to videos as well, but I do always encourage, like, think for yourself, like, I've also, as someone who does teach people how to use AI, one of the most valuable skills that will come out in the next couple of years is just critical thinking. It's just thinking things through, thinking for yourself, and not just accepting things.
There's Leanne, there's a lot of value, and a lot of people are creating these how-to things. There's nothing wrong with it. If you want to market, you have to know marketing. If you want to do accounting, you got to know debits and credits. There's no better way of saying it. You want to build bridges. You got to know civil engineering. There's no other way to do it. This is. So but there are maybe 1,000, maybe more, maybe tens of thousands of leadership books. Show me 2 people that are exactly practicing a single book. Sometimes they're transactional, sometimes they're not. Sometimes because it's who they are. They have to find their authentic self. And we learn this and we learn this and put it together. And that's wonderful. And that's absolutely wonderful. But the how-tos, when they drive our behavior and we forget what is practical for us, right? There is a difference between having skills and being skillful.
True.
There is a difference. Being skillful brings in your awareness and your mindfulness of when, how you apply those skills, why you apply those skills, what for, how does it impact you, how does it satisfy you, what are you exchanging. That is being skillful. How are you impacting others? That is being skillful. It's very different than having skills. Our education system, we have focused so much on skills, so much on how-tos, and we're forgetting that what really makes you grow and evolve and find your better self is being skillful.
It's a beautiful distinction as well. It's like you could be a level, in all tests, you could be a level 10 graphic artist, but are you skillful about it? Are you adding also like your own individuality into it? And how are you showing up for it? That's yeah, like I said, you've been painting very beautiful imagery and sceneries every single time you create like a metaphor or a story. I've very much enjoyed our interview just because like you've been giving me a lot of things that I have not thought about in a while. Just because like again the day to day of like mindful being here, but then not thinking of the next thing, like how this impacts things moving forward. So again, hopefully for anyone who's watching or listening, you guys are also getting a lot of these aha moments because I've been enjoying a lot of these. So I guess for like the typical like favorite question that I ask on the podcast, you've kind of answered it already just because you're already creating that impact with the Academy. But I'll ask it anyway of like, as AI, science, everyone's getting better and better at what they do. If we're able to duplicate you of like what you do, how you teach, how you do things, if there was like an army of Sids, like 300 of you, like how would you want to shape or impact the world that it is?
The first thing is I'll change them with somebody better than me. If I could, if I could do that,
you can swap it, yeah.
But I'm just a limited man. I mean, I've got so much to do. They're much smarter people than I am. I mean, let's bring a combination of Einstein and Martin Luther King, and let's see what they can do. Let's bring back Gandhi. Let's do all these people who are. Let's bring back Cyrus the Great, who changed the world by having the first thing on top of the United Nations. So. So the thing is that I actually, for one thing, so for your audience and you, I actually teach AI. I'm a professor at university. I teach data analytics and AI. And a lot of times I say to my students that it's the critical thinking that goes in. And we are, Leanne, at a cusp of an amazing time. This is an amazing time. There's something called the explosion era, which started 40,000 years ago. 40,000 years ago. That's when we started to paint things on the on the caves walls, and we started to understand math, the 1 + 1, and this is 2, and this is that's the era where it started. It's been 40,000 years. I believe we are at the cusp of another explosion era 2.0. Because imagine, now we have so much processing capability in our mind. Imagine what processing capability we have by having AI just massively, dimensionally. It's unbelievable. But and what that means is that the evolution process is changing. We have evolved physically. Okay, so we're tall and we're short, and a lot of diseases are now going to be cured because, hey, if something that takes 48 years to process in terms of gene therapy can be done in 200 seconds, can you imagine if we really give in and if we really let it run? Shortly, we'll have, I mean, I don't think it will be in my lifetime, but 5 years, 10 years, it's somewhere, sometime soon. In the context of humanity, in a split second, we're going to have, we're going to live for 200 years or 100. We are physically evolved the best that we could. This is the time to begin to evolve mentally, to innovate, to create. Now, I don't believe that we're ready mentally for it. We're pushing back against it because we want to be, even we use AI to be more productive, okay, to do things faster, right? I use it to dispute myself, and people say, well, what does that mean? I can write an email. It doesn't take me that long. I mean, it's not that complicated, and it has me in it. Oh, let's have the AI write it for you. Well, then what? So I sit in the room and just play with Instagram all day long? What am I productive for? Right? But I use AI to dispute myself. I say, hey, here's what I think, and what do you think? And challenge me to innovate more, to create more. I don't want somebody just like me to copy me. I have me. I want something bigger, better. And I don't think the way we're thinking now is there, but I think we will. I think I believe in humanity, and I believe in our superpower that if we've done this over the 40,000 years, we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. But there's an amazing thing ahead of us. And I think there's going to be a lot of people who are smarter than me. And what would I do if I had 300 people? I would do exactly the same thing.
That was the answer I was already expecting, just because of the way that you kind of described.
I'm already pretty predictable, huh?
Well, it's more of not really predictability, just consistency. And it's like just your one way that I can easily think, especially with the academy, like your books and everything you've been teaching a lot of people, you're then kind of, and this is funny to say, you're training, kind of like ChatGPT or AI is training the next generation. You're training the next people to think about it in this way. And I think that's a beautiful and amazing thing to be able to watch and follow. Now we're connected on LinkedIn. I'll follow you everywhere else just because I want to see where else you can
I hope you join the journey and not just follow me. I hope you become a leader, that you will talk to other people and you will get them the same message out. If I have provoked you and just you and not your audience, this is a beautiful day for me. I have accomplished if I have just been able to do that, and I think I have to believe you that you said that you've been touched. So I have to believe you, and that makes my day. I appreciate it, and I thank you for sharing that with me.
Oh, thank you. Well, for those who will follow and then join you on your journey, what's the best way for people to connect you, to find with you, and also even join the academy?
Yeah, joining the academy is Anabasis Academy is the name. Ana, A-N-A means moving up. Basis means the base. So Anabasis means moving the base up. Move it up. Moving the base up, and anabasisacademy.org. It's not .com, it's .org. And you can, or you could just type me, Sid at Mohasseb.com is my email. You Google me, you'll find lots of stuff. You'll see, and if you go to any of these social medias, you'll see me and videos and TED Talks. You could go watch those. Actually, I have a TED Talk about this idea of, are you the artist or the entrepreneur? So that may be interesting to you to watch. But I'm fairly easy to find. Cool. And fairly available. Again, people can come in, be teased with these wake-up calls. That's every 2 weeks. It's free. It's everywhere. You can watch it. Or if you want to see the previous recordings, we already have about 40-50 hours of content.
Wow.
It's available. You can go back and look at it. And if you want to be committed, just say, sponsor me, and one of these people will sponsor you, the people that would pay for you to join the academy. And then there's lots of stuff to dig in. One of the problems that I hear from people is there's too many paths to go. And I say, that's a good thing, isn't it?
That's beautiful. Well, I'm excited I'll definitely check it out afterwards. After this, I'm probably going to journal for a little bit and write down the things that you said so I can think about them further. So thank you so much for being on the Skillful podcast. It's been such an amazing honor to have you and be able to share more of what you do. This felt more of just me listening to you do a TED Talk almost. In the last couple of minutes, just me getting I want to write that down. I want to make sure that I apply that in some way. So I hope other people feel that way. And thank you that even if you just impacted me, I hope that's more than enough, because then
it is an honor. It is an honor. It is an honor. You humble me. Thank you so much for your kind words.
So again, I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Sid as much as I did. Again, I'm going to be writing down a lot of the things that we just talked about so I can make sure that it sticks. And I hope you guys got your notebooks out as well as you're listening in or watching this video. And if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there. Comment below if you have any questions for me and Sid. I will put all of his links below, including, of course, how to join his academy. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the future episodes on the Scale You podcast. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and with that, small steps matters, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.